Say, Michael. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Kapayim, Michael Ketzler.
Thank you so much for coming. I know it was a very difficult thing to watch. Believe me, it was a difficult thing to make. But the reason I did it is because I think we are being insulted, and I couldn't get it out of my system. I couldn't allow this insult. So for 2 years, that's all I did. And for me, it's about honor. We must remember the dishonor that they did, particularly on our children, our girls and women, our religious leaders, our rabbis, and to all our families. And all the time they come here and they tell us how much they love us, how much they love latkes and the vilna gaon, blah, 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 blah. And yet they hero worship mass murderers. This is a contradiction that cannot be accepted. They always at Yad Vashem, I think they've got a holiday home there. They're always there with their photo opportunity saying, look how much we love the Jews. And if somebody wants to translate for me, please. I'm so sorry I can't speak Ivrit. I wish I could. But we should not allow this insult to continue, and it continues all the time. I don't think anybody goes to Yad Vashem more than the Lithuanian ambassadors.
זה ממש קללה ליהודים, כי רואים את הליטאים, ראשי הממשלה ביד ושם, וגם במקומות כמו Freedom Fighters Museum. ורוצה רק להגיד מילה, שהסרט הזה הזמינו להראות את זה ביד ושם וגם ב-Freedom Fighters, המוזיאון ב-Freedom Fighters, והם סרב להראות את הסרט. They refused to show this movie.
Not only did they refuse to show the movie, Yad Vashem, Lechonei Getaot, and not just that, we asked them at least. I have my suspicions.
Getting funding?
I think they get funding from the foreign ministry, and Lithuania are useful.
How about Israeli television?
I
only made the film 6 months ago. I made this film thinking it would go onto YouTube and be finished. To my amazement, it's been taken around the world. The only place that hasn't been terribly interested, I'm sorry to say, has been Israel. But maybe that's because of subtitling, maybe it's because it's English. I don't want to criticize. Maybe it's because they have other ideas for Holocaust commemoration. For me, this is not a Holocaust commemoration film. For me, this is a politically activist film. Can I ask one question? Can you imagine black people accepting this insult? Can you imagine Irish people accepting this insult? Can you imagine Palestinians accepting this insult? Only the Jews. Only we accept this insult and do nothing. And we invite their diplomats and their envoys, and they come here and they tell us how much they love latkes and the vilna gaon. And we lap it up because they know what our needs are. They know our weaknesses. They know how schmaltzy we are. They know how sentimental we are. And they know we want closure. We want to be human. And they exploit us with this. And when we point this out to them, they just ignore us. They don't try and argue with us because the facts are clear. There's another thing here. I feel as Jewish people, we have to honor Sylvia Foti. This woman has lost everything. Her family, her friends, her community, her people, and her country, in order to tell the truth. She hasn't done it for our benefit. She's done it because she's an honorable woman. But we have a duty to support her, because if we do not support her, then what are we? I've asked Yad Vashem and Lechonei Getaot to at least award her something, a certificate, a book, whatever it is. No, they won't touch it.
Michael, just explain please how they, first of all, it's so hard and wonderful film that I didn't see such like this. But I want to ask you, Michael, what Yad Vashem told, how they explained that they are not.
Bureaucratic talk. This is not our problem. We do not get into politics. We don't like him to get into this kind of argument. They didn't answer us.
Michael, I want to ask you, because for me, after 75 years of my life, I'm the first time feeling the revolution in my heart after showing this feeling. But I want to ask you, what should I do in our organization? What should we do, because after such terrible facts, what should we do now when we are contacting and connected with the government of Lithuania? Government of Lithuania is supporting Israel in their words in NATO and United Nations.
Yes.
From 80 countries, only 14 countries supported in very important questions Israel, and among them was Lithuania now.
Yes.
What should we do?
My feeling is we should answer this question. What should we do? Should we accept their lies and their Holocaust distortion and their Holocaust dishonesty in order for a vote in the UN? And it's a difficult question. I don't think Israel should fight this, to be honest. Israel needs to survive. I'm a huge supporter of Israel. I love Israel. And Israel must survive. However, it's a fight for the Jewish people, this. Because if the Holocaust is to mean anything, it must mean truth. It must mean that history is respected. And Shmuel, in answer to your question, my own feeling is we should not invite their ambassadors so they can pose with a big sad face, because it's hypocrisy. It's not honest.
Lina Antanavichina, she told me that she believes that we must go forward, and she believes that we must connect to change this, to make something.
And is this change?
What can I do? What can I say her? That your father was a killer, and that's why I don't want to be in contact with you?
Now, I would say, please come and watch the film. Please come and tell us what you think of this film. Please tell us what you think of Sylvia Photo.
I will tell her about this film.
Please, I want
I'll
you
speak
to.
with you about it.
We've asked them all the time to come and sit with us and watch this film. If they have objections to the accuracy, tell us what the objections
You
are.
know, by the way, yesterday in the cemetery was a chairman of the association from the Jews from Latvia and Estonia, Rival. And he told, when she spoke, he told that, how can you explain me that Latvia and Estonia, they are the same like you show now with this, it's the same way, the same line. All those countries, they are together denying all the Third War. That it's not only one country, it's all the...
It's Ukraine, it's Poland, sure. But this time we have a witness. For once, they don't care what we think because we're Jews. But this time we have a woman who has proven that her grandfather was a mass murderer.
Ruta
Vanagaita as well, a very brave woman. I have huge respect for her. And there are many others. There's Professor Dovin Katz, there's Ephraim Zurov. There are many people
They are Jews, but
they are Jews. Ruta Vanagaita is a Lithuanian.
I said she's not.
Yes.
Correct.
They are Jews,
And
but
she
she's
can't
not.
live in Lithuania anymore. She's in Spain.
She's just left Lithuania. I feel we must start to have a proper conversation, as the film says. Enough telling us how you love Latkas. I don't care if you like Latkas. And I don't care if you love us. We don't need your love. What we need is truth and honor. And if you can't provide that, we have no
And
communication.
we must fight for it. For example, if we are going on September to mention the killing Jews in Ponar, and then we'll speak about it, then we must ask them to change their way and not to make heroes from Noreika, then make heroes from those who was killed.
Absolutely. Shmuel, I think we go further than ask. I think we mustn't be supplicant, we mustn't beg them, we mustn't plead with them, we must tell them, we must be assertive, I put that list up there. to show that what a great people we are. We deserve honor, as Israel knows, as Israel fights for. And on this issue, we must insist on our honor. There is no prevarication about this, because your narrator is guilty, and there are many others like him. And they have an institute that they fund, which is there to tell lies. This is not friendship. This is not friendship. How Israel deals with it, the foreign ministry implications, I don't know. I agree with you. Lithuania is our friend in the UN, but this is the reason they're our friend. So they can carry on lying.
I have many questions. It's an unbelievably important movie. How can one see the movie, or where, or?
I will give you a link. If the movie's there for free, I've never taken any money for it. I never wanted any money for it. This, for me, was something I did for my family, and I also made a promise to God. And so I will give it to you. I would ask you, though, not to put it on social media yet. But it's best to watch it collectively with other Jews or non-Jews. And the discussion is almost more important than the film. The discussion is how we view ourselves. The discussion is whether we feel that it is our duty to fight for this honor. And so if you want to see the film, I will give you an email and I'll give you a link and you can watch it there.
I'm just wondering what I, as an individual, can do. So maybe showing the movie to others.
Showing the movie to others, talking to your political representatives, people with influence, anybody who's connected to the Lithuanian government. Perhaps you have Lithuanian friends.
I can think of journalists in Israel.
Oh, journalists are so important.
I would want to show it.
And I would ask those journalists, do you support liberation for black people and Irish people? Do you support truth when it comes to other atrocities in history? And of course they will say yes. Why not us?
Well, I don't think I need to ask that question. All they need to do is see your movie.
Well, that would be... If you can do that, I would be hugely grateful. And it's not about me. Truly, it's not about me. It's about our people, and it's about the message of the movie.
And Sylvia Foti's book, is it available in Israel?
Yes, it's available, I think, on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, so it's not translated or...
Not into Ivrit. It's not translated into Ivrit, but it is in English, obviously.
Right.
And I think she's going to be coming to Israel quite soon. So if she is, then get people to come and see her. She was in Israel last year. Correct.
When she will come, we will invite her here.
That would be wonderful. That would be fantastic.
With the journalists.
I just want to say thank you, first of all. A true honor to see the film finally, been waiting. I'm very curious about the title of the movie. Could you explain it?
I'm not sure I'm entirely happy with the title, but I wanted something that was a slogan of outrage at anti-Semitism, and obviously the obvious one was Zola's book on the subject of Dreyfus, where there was clear guilt on the part of the French authorities, and I felt that the J'accuse expressed that absolute statement of guilt. And also, as a journalist, you have to work out how you tell a story. What's the narrative in your story? And I struggled with this a lot. From what perspective do I tell this story? Am I talking from the journalist who thinks he knows everything, from a historical perspective, from an intellectual perspective? And one day I realized that the only perspective worth taking into account and the only voice that matters is that of the victims. So I've tried to give them a voice. As the first lines of the film says, this is their film, this is their voice. And I don't think anybody would disagree that the accusations and the challenges it sets are the challenges and accusations that they would make. And realpolitik and the convenience of alliances, this does not overcome the egregious, the terrible way they lie to us. I also don't like the way they abuse our friendship, this pretense of friendship. You can't be friends when you do this to people. It's just not possible. Not if we have any dignity and sense of honor. Not possible.
There must be a way to get onto television, yeah. Or on Netflix and...
We're going to try. I made this with no money. I have no marketing budget. I have no marketing expertise.
Yeah, no.
But we're trying now.
People must have contacts, like on the TV stations in Israel.
We're trying. trying.
So all the people who are big fucks on your list, they're people of influence. Why not approach them for funding and sponsorship?
We are trying. It's harder than you may suspect, really, because for people to put their head above that parapet is difficult. But you're right, 100%. And if you know anybody who can help us, everybody, this is entirely been run by volunteers.
Yeah.
We've had absolutely no money. So,
Hi, Michael.
hi.
2 quick questions, so I'll shoot them both off. So, the first one is, in Lithuania currently, there is Jewish investment in memorial, in what museums, are they either going with the Lithuanian government in order to get these permissions and in order to get this infrastructure, or are they a contra voice, in which case how was it able to come, like in my mind, it has to be one or the other. Then my second question, you said something just now which I think I disagree with a bit. You said that it has to be in the voice of the victims, but we're Jews, no one cares. You know.
This is true.
What you said in your video, you said that there were 900 families who harbored Jews, and as you said, it must be thousands with the supply chains and the secret keeping. Are those people and those descendants and those families not completely drowned out in Lithuania? It must be by Yad Vashem and recognition like that. Like, isn't there a voice, a non-Jewish voice in Lithuania that says our history is being denied? And isn't there some sort of anger or some sort of misrepresentation there that's also asking for truth?
You mean from the Jewish community?
No, from
Lithuania.
non-Jewish.
You mean from the rescuer community?
Yeah, like those 900 people,
No.
their deeds are just...
Look, for 80 years they've been lied to. They've been given this narrative that there were 2 Holocausts. One was the communist Holocaust, wink wink, who were Jews, and the other was the Nazi Holocaust. And poor little fragrant Lithuania is in the middle and innocent of everything. And this has been drummed into their children and drummed into their teachers, into their museum authorities, and into the national consciousness. As Sylvia said, it's highly traumatic to suddenly realize that you're actually a perpetrator and not a rescuer nation. I have some sympathy for them, really. And it's also worth bearing in mind the idea of guilt. Guilt does not transmit intergenerationally.
What about the actual rescuers?
Well, they're all dead now.
Don't they have families who said my grandfather...
I think it's probably seen as something of a shame, really. It's not a country that is welcoming to Jews. Their welcome to Jews is restricted to PR and to commerce. You're right. It's a big industry now, these heritage tours. And people go there and they are fed this nonsense. I was told that all the Jews became communists. Jews were business people and religious scholars. Those people don't tend to be communists. I'm sure there were a few loudmouth Jewish communists. There are everywhere. But the idea that there was a Jewish communist aggression against Lithuania is simply absurd. As for the museums, there is a museum being built in Shedova, I think, called the Shtetl Museum. And I understand that is going to tackle the issue properly. I think I'm the first person actually to name the killers, because this list, which was created by Melamed, was suppressed with the connivance of the Israeli authorities, because Lithuania said we'll investigate and we'll come up with a proper list. And of course they never did, so nobody's ever been exposed. Nobody's ever been punished for a single misdeed against the Jewish people. They've really almost got away with murder. They've already got away with robbery, by the way. A couple of weeks ago, they signed a settlement for restitution for all private Jewish property. I think it was $35 million for all Jewish property. And the authorities that are running at the AJC in America, which has a lot of questions to answer, have said that the maximum you can apply for is $100 and a huge bureaucratic form. In other words, it's money that's been cut. It's as simple as that. Now, I don't mind them getting away with robbery. I don't like it, but one accepts that there's a time when you have to say, okay, there's going to be no claim on property. So let them get away with robbery, but do not let them get away with murder. And that's what they're doing now.
How did you meet the gentleman from California?
That's an interesting story.
What's his background? What is he doing?
Grant is a wealth advisor. He's a clever man, and he works from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night on Lithuania. He's been doing this for over 30 years, alone, with no support, in fact with ridicule, and often from Jews, because Lithuania has been so clever in portraying themselves as our big friend that Grant is always abused and rejected by many, many Jewish organizations. Nobody even gives him a hearing. But now, because of Sylvia Fati, and I hope a little bit because of the film, people will reassess this, and they should be obliged to listen to what he's saying. He's a very, very brave man.
Did he ever get the citizenship?
He did get his citizenship. He went to the Supreme Court, and eventually they decided this is too embarrassing. And he's the guy who actually opened the door for Jewish people getting Lithuanian passports, which incidentally I don't object to. If you're Lithuanian, if your grandfather, or grandmother is Lithuanian, why shouldn't you have the constitutional right to claim citizenship?
They changed it recently, made it more difficult, didn't they?
They do make it more difficult. They also rip you off, and it's a whole big thing.
They had to be living there only up until a certain time or something.
Exactly. What I would say though is our own Jewish leaders who invite Lithuanians over, who give them, I would really ask them to be more vigilant about the politics of this. Because when Lithuania comes and shows how much they care and they put on the face, it's their propaganda victory, and it works both with a Lithuanian audience and a Jewish audience. We see that and think, oh, they feel so sad. They don't feel sad. They're cynical. They do this in order to lie.
If I may interject for 1 second, people are interested in ideas of what you can do. What actions can I take? Well, we don't have any formal organisation or anything like that, but as a stepping stone, before there is any kind of which Michael and I and others are talking about, you can be active on social media, especially Facebook. You can follow Grant when Grant posts these articles, which is in the TI, the Times of Israel. You can share those articles. You can be active in that way, and following on Facebook. And also there's a Jacques discussion group which you can join. And we can start making plans to take actions, to write letters or encourage people in America to write to their congressmen and to write to your politicians here in Israel, to the Knesset. There are things we can do.
Very good. And also this is such a poignant place. It's such a beautiful place. Honestly, it breaks my heart to see this organization here. Why not invite the Lithuanian ambassador to watch the film? That would be fantastic. Confront them with this.
I don't know, this is totally out of left field, but I feel the anger and I feel the passion and I feel the disappointment with responses, but you can't attack people. They want to come across as getting some kind of reward or some positive outcome for them. They don't want to be shamed. And you have to approach it with some psychology. You have to think what you ultimately want out of this, and you need to turn a negative to a positive. But the approach that I'm hearing is angry, it's emotional, and it justifiably is so. You've got to think psychologically. Nobody wants to come for a flogging, especially if they flogged. So you have to think how are you going to approach it in a more psychologically...
I think that makes a lot of sense. I would argue that what we're offering them and what Sylvia's offering them is redemption.
But they don't care about that. That's not their end goal. Their end goal is to come out looking good. Now, the woman who wrote the book, she went through a whole revolution. Regular people in their normal day, or if they're in a position of authority and a leader, don't need to go through that. They don't want to. So you have to think long and hard about how you're presenting it, how you're approaching it, and you have to take the emotion out of it if you want to take it to another level.
I'm not that bothered about what Lithuania does. I'm more concerned with the Jewish response. For me, it's... Please let me finish. Please let me finish. For me, this is an outrage. And may I ask you something, with the Black Lives Matter movement, do you think they should have been polite and should they have genuflected? Should they have been supplicants in this?
You're throwing me off track because I'm trying to be helpful to to you.
No, I understand what you're
so
saying.
You're interrupting me.
I beg your pardon,
And
carry on.
if you're going to approach other Jews and you're going to interrupt them, and everybody argues here, and everybody interrupts, and everybody has a point, and everybody has a case, and maybe this is why it's not going down in Israel. Because everybody's got a lot going on. Everybody's coming from somewhere where they've suffered or something else has happened. And it's a busy place, and people are still protesting when the D family asks, can we just take a break for a week? You're in an environment here where people don't care. They've all got their own agendas. They've all got stuff going on. You have to be sensitive to who you're asking. You have to be sensitive to what you're asking, and you have to turn a negative to a positive and incentivize it. You have to think, you have to sit down with yourself, and you have to go through what the purpose is in the end. These people don't want to vindicate themselves. If you're talking about the Lithuanians, there's nothing in it for them really. As to the Jews here, there's so much going on in the now for going forward. I mean, we're at the 75th anniversary and it's chaos. And the last thing, you know, is going to be a priority is to look at this. Because it's chaos in the now. So you need to sit down quietly and calmly, be very proud of what you have produced, but you have to reframe what you want to present.
So, thank you very much for that. So, as I've said to you, I've given the film, sorry, are you listening? I've given my film the voice of the children. What do you think they would ask? Would they be polite? Would they be sensitive
It's not relevant. It's not relevant. The end message is what's relevant, is how you approach people. When you give things the voice of a child, it hits a nerve, but there's got to be more to it in the bigger picture. There is the intention. You have to think about why this is not striking a chord, why people may not want to see it.
Sorry, what's not striking a chord? The response to this... Sorry, can
Israel, you said in Israel people are not receptive to this, and you're asking me why. And I'm telling you why they may not be receptive.
Well, then maybe Israel's not the place we try. Maybe we try with the Jewish world outside of Israel.
No, please do try here.
Exactly, of course.
Please do try.
Exactly, I agree with you. We just had Yom HaShoah, where we're told how important it is, where we're told historical truth is so important, and now we must be so concerned about Lithuanian sensitivities. I just don't feel that, I'm sorry.
I think what you said, giving the voice, I mean, that's why I'm sitting here now, giving the voice to my ancestors,
yes,
and giving the voice, and I think that that's the merit, and the other question is relevant as well, but I think the giving the voice is the number one reason that I'm sitting here now and listening, and I'm so glad that you've screened the film.
And I also think we've got to support Sylvia. We have someone who's actually fighting for truth. Do we support Holocaust lies over Holocaust truth? And if so, what does Holocaust commemoration mean? Have we a duty to remember accurately what happened? I feel we do. And everybody says we do. Nobody disagrees with that. May I ask, are there any Lithuanians in this audience?
You mean
ancestry?
No, I mean the current. No, okay.
They were. They
Good, I'm glad they were.
you look like.
No, I don't mean Jewish Lithuanians. I mean non-Jewish. I wish there were. I do honestly believe we're offering something redemptive here. I believe we're offering them a gift, really. And it's not difficult to face something that happened 80 years ago where they're not guilty. Germany's done it.
May I ask if you're open to showing this movie and perhaps being present in the near future? I assume you're here for a while, or maybe
I'm only here for another week, but I'm always happy to come back to Israel. The drop of a hat. So I'd be more than willing to come. And it doesn't even have to be me. Many people can represent what we're saying here.
the movie says it all. It says a lot.
Yeah. Now just speak
And
to
unbelievable.
the lady behind you. Sorry, I don't know your name. If you can think of a way of doing this, I'd welcome that. If you can see a redemptive and kind way of doing it, you're asking me to what?
Because it's your baby.
No, it's not.
No, it's not my baby. I'm sorry. I have a lot of things going on. I'm trying to help you.
Then I'm asking you to, please.
Yeah, but
I want you to.
movie speaks for itself. It's a brilliant movie. But the thing is, what comes next? What do you hope to achieve?
And the apology would be good.
It's so easy for them to say, you're right, we've lied, we're sorry, and then it's over. It's really not very difficult. A lot of, well, Germany's done it.
Psychology doesn't work that way.
Then we have to accept.
And this is a long time after, and there are generations now where the lies have already been embedded. But maybe it's about setting up an educational program or something like that. You have to think of creative ways to approach it, as with any other topic, because you're dealing with the enemy. You're not dealing with somebody who's welcoming you with open arms. You're dealing with people who want to keep burying it.
There have been inroads made to that in Lithuania. Sylvia, I think only 6 months ago, last year, in June of last year, she was in Lithuania speaking to, as a lecturer, because she's a teacher. She was lecturing to other teachers on how to teach and educate on the Holocaust. Whether she's made any inroads, because the system is so against any truth. So, but she was there. The movie Baltic Truth was shown, is still shown now online on 15 minutes. In Lithuanian, with the Lithuanian subtitles, in Lithuania. So there are attempts made within Lithuania, and I agree with you, the changes has to be inside Lithuania.
But it also has to
the
be
new generation.
inside Yad Vashem, and you need to focus better, maybe through connections, maybe through something else, but you've got to get your own on board before you can get others who are not your own on board. And you've got to consider what is the impasse with Yad Vashem.
Would you like to try and do something?
No. Everybody asks me everywhere, and I cannot do
I think, because if you'd like to participate, then we would have something.
No.
It's not going to happen. Because if
I
you
do
aren't
have
prepared
major
to,
surgery, and
I'm sorry, but if you're not prepared to make action on your
yeah, but I am
suggestions,
giving suggestions.
nobody's going to access it.
And giving suggestions, that's why it's not working, okay?
I think it is working, actually. I think Jewish people are understanding what this is about.
But you want the Lithuanians to understand, you want Yad Vashem to be on board, and you're complaining that Yad Vashem is not on board, and you're not getting an apology from the Lithuanians, and they're not watching your movie. And that's what I'm hearing as an outsider.
Okay, well, you can jump to your own conclusions why Yad Vashem are not reacting.
I'm not familiar.
I can't say. Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Any more questions?
I have just a small comment. I think there was a problem with the translation of the 9,000 families. What was it? 900?
900.
The movie also said 900, so I missed it.
No, it is 900. And we've named every rescue, which was a duty. Thank you all so much for coming, and I appreciate all your comments.
Big hand for Michael.
Yes, I think so. Yad Vashem is about Holocaust memory, then it's got to do its job.
You know,
It's outrageous.
just one other observation. When I lived in Australia for some time, and I sincerely believe in